This week's episode is brought to you by Prime My Body's Recept Oil, a nano-enhanced CBD and CBG oil. And when I say not all hemp oils are the same, I mean it. Recept is the Maserati of hemp oils. This stuff with an absorption rate of 98%, so it really gets into your system fast. So for you fighters who need to go from sympathetic, fight or flight mode to parasympathetic, restore and rejuvenate mode, this is the oil for you. Unlike other brands, each batch comes with a certification of analysis and is THC free, so you won't have to worry about testing positive for one of those surprise urine tests. So check out the plant-based oil that is revolutionizing the health industry. And you can go order a bottle just by going to evolvewmma.com and look under hemp oil. And they also have the nano-enhanced hemp oil, just the CBD oil. This is on sale right now, and this one's really, really good. It has a high potency of CBD in it. So welcome to the Evolve WMMA podcast featuring the greatest upcoming female fighters on the planet. They are women who have gone against conventional thinking to pursue their dreams. These fighters inspire, empower, and unleash excellence within a new generation of female warriors as they rise and evolve into the best possible versions of themselves through the power of mixed martial arts. My next guest will be bringing the Flyweight Contender tournament at Invicta FC 35 to a close on Friday, June 7th. UFC Veteran DeAnna Bennett, who's now 10-4, rematches Mexico's Karina Rodriguez, who's 7-3, as the promotion's main event. Now, if you remember, the pair met previously at Invicta FC 28, with Bennett edging out Rodriguez by a split decision. Now they will be facing each other again with the flyweight title shot on the line. So back in February, Bennett, to get this spot, Bennett defeated Missouri's Miranda Maverick, and Rodriguez topped UFC veteran Milana Dudeva in the tournament's semifinals at Invicta 34 back in February. The winner of the June 7th bout will be the next to challenge Brazilian champion Vanessa Porto. Hey, this is Evolve WMMA. I'm your host, Shelly Devine, and I'd like to welcome back to the show Invicta FC flyweight fighter DeAnna Vitamin D Bennett. So hi, DeAnna, where are you? You're in your car still. I'm like, are you having one of those moments where you can't get to one place? I mean, like juggling too many things for fight camp?
Oh yeah. That's, fight camp life, one place to another. This is my home. This is where I live. Every once in a while, I go back to the place which I call my home and sleep in a bed. But for the most part, this is where I live. Just just got done with my technically third session of the day at Jiu-Jitsu, Ricardo Almeida's, and now traveling back another 45 minutes the other direction to go to my home gym to work with my coach.
Wow. That's a lot of driving. Oh my goodness. I didn't realize it was like you were traveling actually 45 minutes. So you're in New Jersey, right?
Yes, I'm in New Jersey, and my day pretty much consists of driving from one end of Jersey to the other end of Jersey, and then I go to the other, complete the triangle of Jersey, and so just bouncing all over the place. And it's great because there's so many gyms that are awesome in this area, but you definitely have to drive to it. So thankfully I'm comfortable in my car. I mean, all those years working on an ambulance and driving around all day, my driving skills are finally paying off.
There you go. So you go, to one gym for maybe Muay Thai or some kickboxing, and then another gym for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then another gym for strength training.
Yep, pretty much. That's what I did this morning. So I leave my house about 5:30 in the morning. I go to the one gym, and I actually teach Monday through Friday. So I go to one gym, which is my home gym. Then I go to my strength and today I did that. Then I went to my strength and conditioning gym, straight from my strength and conditioning gym. I went to jiu-jitsu, and now I start the long haul back to the original gym that I started at today. my main gym, Killer Bee, and to finally get my work in with my coach. So
wow. The life of a fighter, of a professional fighter. I mean, 3 workouts a day, people. So if you want the figure like this girl has, it's 3 workouts a day. And then who knows what your meal plan is like, but you probably have a pretty good, strict diet going on right now as you go into, your main event. I mean, is this your first main event? Is this the first time you've been in a main event fight?
It is my first main event. The last time I had my title shot for 115, Cyborg was the main event. So Cyborg's on the card, obviously.
Right.
So, my first time headlining, and so that's extra pressure to make it good, and it's gonna be.
Wow. How exciting is that? That's so cool. I mean, the last time we spoke on, you had mentioned, prior to, I think it was that title shot, you didn't have, the support that you would have preferred, from your fight trainer camp person that you were involved with at the time. And how has this camp been way different?
This camp has been amazing. I started working with my head coach, Brian. I know we talked about it last time. I started working with him. It was late August, early September. And he is an absolutely amazing coach. He's been what I've been looking for in a coach my entire fighting career. I've had great coaches help me to this point, but he really gets me mentally, and then as a fighter gets kind of my skills as well, and what I need to do to be able to elevate them and to be able to perform at my best ability. And, having him and, all of my teammates and everything here in Jersey, they're amazing. It's basically like a family. We take care of each other. We support each other, always in each other's corner. And it's great to have such a strong support system within the fighting. And, I have a great group of friends that really supports me. Family that they're not close, but they still support me with the fighting and everything. And then my work's great. I bartend at Ruby Tuesdays. And
really?
Super excited. Yeah. So I never had a restaurant job, needed something to pay the bills, and so I started as a host, and then I was a server. Now I'm a bartender. And they're super awesome, and they love the fighting. They absolutely love it. And my last fight, they actually put it up on the bar, and some of my bar regulars actually came in, and they're like, "Oh, they're gonna do that again?" I'm like, "Yep, they're gonna do it again." So they're gonna have put my fight up on the bar so that everyone can see it up there. And I'm like, "That's cool. I like that."
So that's awesome. Do you get many people who actually recognize you behind the bar?
Not too many, but sometimes I've had people come in and they're like, "You look really familiar." And I'm like,
"Are you a fight fan?"
Well, did you watch The Ultimate Fighter? And they're usually like, "Yes." And I was like, "Cool, you see that one series that Eddie Alvarez was the coach?" And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Do you remember that one fight where Sajara Eubanks, she fought that one girl and she had that super sweet head kick KO?" And they're like, "Yeah, that fight was awesome." I was like, "Yeah, if I could remember it, it would be too." And then I just stare at them blankly. And then they're like, "Oh!"
Like, "Oh, you're a good sport." You're a good sport about that.
Sometimes people will just stare at me blankly, and I'm like, "It's okay. She's my friend, and it was a very well placed kick. So
yeah, right.
Absolutely fine. Like, y'all are good. I promise."
Oh man, you're a good sport about that. I mean, that's tough getting knocked out on TV, and people are gonna see you, and they probably replay it, so you're reliving it.
Yeah. Well, sorry, just last weekend, I just saw Aspen Ladd. So every time I went on Instagram, I would look at my story, and it was like all of the teammates and everything, all of our sponsors and everything. They were playing like highlight reels. The UFC put a little highlight reel in, And I know I'm going to be part of her highlight reel. And so I was just like, and there's me getting knocked out. And there it is again. 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 I'm like, guys, does everyone have to replay that? And I'm like, all right, fine. I mean, it's good. It's good. I'm happy for her. So I'll let them replay that. So, I mean, you can't let it bother. Obviously, it bothered me when it happened to the point where I was like, I was sad that the competition was over for me. But I'm like, I've said it before and I'll say it again, Sarge is, a really good friend, that's my girl. And if anyone had to take me out like that, I'm glad it was her, because, I want nothing but success for her and everything, because love her to death, We were roommates up until just not too long ago.
Right. She's doing quite well.
She's great.
Yeah.
She just got fight of the night, so.
Yeah. So that's awesome. I mean, you're like I said, you're a really good sport about it. A few years back, Peggy Morgan from up here got knocked out. I can't remember who knocked her out, but her face blew up.
Oh yeah, I remember
it was
that.
Like superficial, but she was like, oh man, every time they show that, it's like,
yeah,
oh,
I remember that card.
And I'm like, well, they remember you.
Exactly. You're like, I mean, at least you have that memory.
Yeah, right. Not a fond memory, but she was actually a really good sport about it too. But that's a tough thing to take, though. Like, especially even a head kick. I've gotten kicked in the head before. I mean, did it hurt afterwards? Were you like, holy crap, my head is aye.
I mean, I'm okay with it as long as I stay conscious. That one I didn't quite stay conscious, but I'm like, I mean, let's just maybe minimize the head kick. Maybe that's that on my end.
Yeah.
Internal reflection on that one.
Right.
Maybe, possibly.
So you must be getting really excited. I mean, you're 2 weeks out before your fight.
Yep.
Yeah, how you feeling?
I feel great. You have your wear and tear from the fight camp, and you're pushing yourself, and so I'm constantly exhausted outside of the gym. I put everything that I have into my training, and basically my heart, my soul, my everything is in fighting and is in my training, because I want to put on a good show. I want to be my best. I feel better than I have basically my entire career. I feel like I'm peaking at this point, and I love it. And so it's exciting to be able to be the main event and to have this show. And I can't wait to show what I have to everybody, and to really compete in there to the best of my ability. And obviously it's a little nerve-wracking, and I'm you got those nerves still, and the aches and pains and all that kind of stuff, but it's gonna be good. I couldn't be more happy with where I'm at right now.
How do you deal with like the nerves, like kind of the ebb and flow of your nerve? Like, sometimes you feel like, oh shit, like this is really coming up fast.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, wow,
I have that
here.
often.
I mean, I fought, what was it, in February or whatever?
February.
Semifinals for this or whatever.
Yeah.
Quarterfinals.
That's actually kind of nice having a fight so soon, because the worst thing for me is having fights spread out so far. Like, if I have them in quick succession, that helps me out, because I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, I did this rather recently. Whereas I swear, one month in the fight game is like a year in my book. It's like, I remember this one time I got into the cage. They're like, yeah, that was like 2 months ago. And I was like, but it feels like forever. And it feels like it's the first time I've ever gotten to the cage. And it's just funny, because this is going to be my 16th pro fight, which is crazy to think that. Crazy that this is going to be 16 for me.
Yeah.
I never knew I would make it that far, but I think I still have the same nerves, and I still, am anxious to get in there, just like I was in my very first pro fight. And I wouldn't want to change that for the life of me. I feel like the moment that I don't have those nerves and I don't have that anxiousness, then that's going to be some personal reflection I have to make at that point. But I feel like it keeps me sharp. And I've said it before, I've played hockey my whole life, since I was a kid, and I I still have nerves every time even I go play a drop-in hockey. So
Really?
it's,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, well, are you playing with the boys still, or is
Oh
it a
yeah,
co-ed? It's
always.
the
No,
boys.
it's always with the boys. It's
Yep.
more fun that way. That
Yep.
way I can hit them and they don't get too nervous. They don't get hurt
Yeah.
or anything like that. So it's more fun. You know.
Was it you did you used to play water polo too?
Uh-huh. That's how
You
I
did,
got into
because I
fighting.
was just interviewing a newcomer who's going to be on the same fight card. They'll be probably the first fight is Valerie Wong, and I was thinking it was Brianna Van Buren because that was the last person I talked to, doing an interview with, and I was thinking it was her that did water polo, but it was you.
Yep.
And I'm like, how does water polo translate into MMA fighter? And then
Yep.
I just went like, well, you're trying to drown the other person. I'm
That's
like, well, Brazilian jiu-jitsu and all that.
uh-huh. It's like jiu-jitsu in the water. There you go. Well, it's, if you think about it, I mean, for me, if I never did water polo, I probably wouldn't be a pro fighter, because one of the assistant coaches in the water polo team was an assistant coach for the wrestling team.
Ah.
And they recruited me into it after water polo season ended. They're like, "Hey, wrestling season's next. You should give it a try." And I was like, I mean, I never thought about it, but yeah, sure, why not? And that right there was the beginning of my fight. Yeah, I just didn't know it, but those events are what led to me eventually taking the fight. So,
Do you ever hear from any of those coaches? Do you ever hear, like, get a note or like a shout out, or, on
so I
Facebook
haven't
or
heard from the
something?
coaches. I not the coaches, but there's a lot of the guys that I wrestled with that, they still follow my fight career to this day. It was so great, because a lot of the times sometimes at the beginning part when girls were just starting to wrestle, you hear these like horror stories where like the guys didn't want you on the team, they treated you badly, and stuff like that. But that was never my experience. I mean, I had one kid that would like to pin me down and fart on me, basically, to start every practice.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
Smell what the rock's got cooking.
yeah, exactly. I was like, all right, I'll take that as a term of endearment, because if you didn't want me there, you wouldn't do that. You would just ignore me. No, but they're super great. They, still support my fighting. I get messages from them. I know they watch the fights, and it's super awesome to have that lasting effect. I won't say how many years later, but many, many, many years later, and it's pretty cool. I would love to talk to the coaches that I had wrestling, touch base with them. I don't know if they're on Facebook or not. Maybe I'll hunt them down.
Yeah, because you wonder, who's likely to succeed. Back in high school and stuff, who's most likely to succeed and in what?
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, did you ever see yourself? I mean, like, 10 years ago, what would you tell yourself, 10 years ago, being where you are now? What would you say to yourself as a young girl coming up?
I honestly, I never imagined it. I joined a kickboxing gym just to stay in shape, and then it just snowballed from there. Because I was a pudgy little fat kid, before I started wrestling in high school, I was 190 pounds, and then, just playing hockey right after high school. I put a little bit more weight on, but not too much. But I was walking around and I'm like, all right, I need to work out. I need to be healthy. I want to be a better athlete, better hockey player. So I just joined the gym, and, it went from there. And thinking back to the person that I was 10 years ago, I'm a lot different. Obviously I'm the same person, but I've actually grown so much since then. I was doing EMT stuff 10 years ago. That was what I love. I love that job. I will go back to that eventually. Yeah. I love being able to help people in that aspect, whether they're on the ambulance or in the ER. That's great. That's what I want. But going from there to where I'm now, I'm like, I never figured I'd be a pro fighter.
Yeah, right. So, any of the, like when you're a young girl and you said you were a chubby kid
Oh
and
yeah.
then, like dealing with all your peers and then, going into playing sports or doing this or that, what would you, when you're, I think, I was just talking to a client of mine and he's got two young high school girls that do track, say, and at that 16, 17 or whatever, if anything goes wrong, everything's the end of the world. That's what he was
Oh yeah.
saying. So if knowing what you know now and where you're at now, what would you tell yourself? And this will relate to a lot of young girls that are coming up now. What would you tell yourself? A little advice, like what would you say to yourself, if you were mothering that teenage self of yours?
Number one thing I would tell myself is take a deep breath, calm down. Things will work themselves out if you work hard enough. Like I I wouldn't say I was that much more emotional back then, but I mean, it fits. I was one of those that was just like, I'm not sure, and I was just, moody all the time, and I was just like sad all the time, and just trying to figure out my place in the world. And I'm like, all right, something like you said, something wouldn't go my way, and I'd be like, oh, this is the worst thing ever. This is just terrible. Just having that like negative mindset that and then just doing stuff because I had to, not because I wanted to, but because I had to. I'm like, all right, I guess I better do this if I have to. And I think that's the biggest change that I've had from then to now is that, people all the time, they're like, I get called Smiley at work. They're like, oh, hey, Smiley, how's it going? Like, I'll have customers that will come in. They're like, you're just so happy all the time. And I'm like, I mean, I have no reason to be unhappy. I have some bad days. Yeah, sometimes things don't go my way, but I'm like, I'm alive. I'm living the life that I want. I have what I need to survive, and I know that I can do the things that I want to. I don't understand, like, I don't know why you wouldn't just be happy. Like, there's so much weight lifted off of you when you decide to. Because a lot of the times it's a decision. I see these people that are just miserable and cranky and awful. I'm like, I couldn't imagine living that way anymore. Like, I remember being that moody little kid. I was the Eeyore that was like, okay, I'll just go. I don't know, just moping around, just always miserable.
Yeah.
And it's like, once you reach that point and you see the world for what it is and see the possibilities that you have, and, you have ambition, you have goals that you work towards. Once you have that, things fall into place and you just choose to be happy.
That's great. It's great to see, you talk about how you were earlier on and then how your life has evolved with your martial arts training, getting involved in the things that you've discovered along the way that you ended up, wow, I love this. I can't believe this is who I am, and discovering who you are as a person and what really resonates with you. And I think very many fighters, they might not have seen it in themselves, but I think it's got to stand out from a very early age that you had some aggressive tendencies and they needed to be worked out, so to speak. And these are the activities that we need to, rear you into doing, and position you into doing, where, maybe a kid that's, a nerd, geeky scientist or something like that, they might be going into a completely other, direction. And it's cool that females are now, have the capability to go into sports and go into sports that have been predominantly male dominated. And I really feel like this has been more of your generation. coming up a little bit before that, but has really, you know, gotten to take advantage of these opportunities now. And it's just, it amazes me that it's happening now, that you guys, I mean, like you're on, you know, you're in a promotion with all female fighters that's on, you know, UFC Fight Pass, and you're the main event. Did you get it or no? Did I lose you? Technical difficulties.
I got a phone call.
Okay.
Muted you.
That's okay. That's
Where
all
are
right.
you?
It's just me blabbing.
There you are. Hold on. I love it. Let me send a message really fast to the person that texted me. Sorry, 1 second. Ah!
Multitasking.
Always, always.
Well, it's so good that we have this technology now to be able to do this and communicate, even with you being,
I know, I love it.
yeah, I mean, it's great that, you know, you're on the road and we're able to do this now. This is awesome. And people get to experience a little bit of what you know, your day is like. I mean, you're in the car a lot too. So how, I mean, do you get like really achy from sitting in the car for 45 minutes, you know, from place to place? You must get like.
I get anxious. I just I need to get out of the car. I need to do something. I need to run away. I need to do anything. So.
Yeah. Are you an aggressive driver?
I never used to be. So, you know, in California, I like to say that I like to where I'm going. And that California drivers, people say it's crazy because they'll just like zip in and out. But, you know, we're just trying to get where we're going. And that's what it is here. And then it's a whole nother level of aggression when you're in Jersey or New York. Like, it's a rough one because you're just like, why is everyone so angry? Why is everybody like honking? What is this? And then the other day I was driving somewhere and the light changed and the person in front of me didn't move, and they just sat there, and the light, like, I was second in the row trying to make this left-hand turn, and then they didn't move long enough that the light turned yellow, and I'm just like laying on my horn at that point, and I'm like, no, I'm one of them now. I belong in Jersey. I'm honking. But I was like, I made it through that intersection, and I like to maintain that I did not run the red light because it was still yellow. But I was like, this guy was going to make me miss it. And that's frustrating. I feel like that's a reasonable one. It wasn't like 2 seconds and then I was honking.
I have such a sailor's potty mouth when I'm driving. Like I drive back and forth into Boston. Although I travel at different, at probably the less trafficy times. But
nice.
I'm telling you, if I got an idiot in front of me, if I had like bazookas on the front of my car, it would be an asteroids game or something. I'd be blowing shit up. I'm like over the top. I'd be like, pew, 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 you know, like blowing, get out of my way, get out of my way. It's really bad.
I wish I was like the real life Mario Kart, and I'm like, all right, where's my blue shell? I need the blue shell right now, not just the green shell. We're making sure it's a blue shell, and we're hitting that right out of the water right there. So.
Oh my God, I'm so bad. I get really, really kind of, and now to curb that, what I will do is I'll start listening to podcasts on, you know, so I'm not like, if I have really good music playing, it's worse because then I'm like, woohoo, you know, like here we go. But if I play podcasts, but yeah, that's when you're driving, you got to contend with. Have you ever gotten into any barroom brawls or anything? Seeing as now you're, you know, like a bartender.
No, thankfully not. It's been rather mellow. We had to kick one guy out of the bar, but he went willingly. Thankfully, 5, and I was like, all right, I realize y'all have me as like the bouncer / bartender here, but this guy's literally twice as tall as I am. But he went willingly,
So that's good. But yeah, thankfully not. If it ever went down, I'd be like, all right, I got this. But
Yeah, right?
we'll see what happens from there.
I know. It's kind of funny because how tall are you?
Like 5'4.5", something around there.
So you're not like, you're tiny girl.
Yeah, I feel like a midget half the time.
This is like, I'd love to be a fly on a wall. You're bartending and you get some like obnoxious little, whatever, and you got to like bounce them out of there. Is it
love that. Like, this is me where I'm just going to have to go outside and like, you can go willingly, or I will probably put you on the shoulder, you out. So.
Totally. Oh my gosh. So how are you maintaining your balance between working, hard in the gym, all these, training sessions per day, and recovering? How do you maintain that?
Oh gosh. It's a big struggle. I have my chiropractor sports rehab people, they help a lot. Thrive Spine and Sports Rehab. I'm actually going to go see them right after I work with my coach here soon. And my coach is like, where are you? Yep. I'm like, look at them. But yeah, I'm going to go see them. They've really helped me with the recovery. And then, I don't usually schedule a workout for Sunday morning. Mm-hmm. That's my day where I can sleep in. And by sleep in, I mean I'm wide awake at 7 a.m. because I'm up at 5 every other day. Mm-hmm. So like 7 a.m. Woo, everyone's sleeping in. But I, just to kind of relax, usually I'll go for just a run, just decompress, just off everything and let my body recover. And it's hard because I want to be in the gym every day. I want to be doing everything that I can. And my coach sometimes is like, dude, you have to like rest. No, kill everything, choke everything, punch everything. And he's like, all right, calm down there. He always jokes that I have like multiple personalities, and he's like, all right, Penelope, you gotta calm the hell down, Penelope, because Penelope is the real bitch of the group, and it's a little crazy from time to time. So every time I'm like, he's like, Penelope, stop it. And I'm like, sorry, I'll calm her down. I guess so. You tell me to.
That's awesome.
A little weird.
I think all of us women have those little split personalities here and there that come out every now and then, depending on what you're doing. It's emotions, whatever, and what you're working on.
Yeah,
they come out.
Yep.
Probably have a little bit of an actress in you or something.
100%.
What was that?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Just get into that. Harness in these crazies and let.
So, do you have any pre-fight rituals? Like some fighters like to knit. I've heard that. Or like a movie or music that you have to listen to, or how you have your hair done. Do you have any pre-fight rituals that you do?
So, fight week, the whole itself, I always watch Food Network, and in particular, I'm always watching Man vs. Food. Not the recent ones, the old ones out of Richmond. Love him. Love him to death. I always watch Man vs. Food. I actually, I tagged him in one of my Instagram stories, and it was like the highlight of my day, because he actually responded to it, and I was like, oh, my life is complete. This is the most wonderful thing ever. Like, you're amazing. I love you to death. But usually I watch him, Man vs. Food, like all fight week, and, tag him again, because I think he's fabulous. And I'm like, one day I'll meet you. I'll probably be really creepy, but one day I'll meet him. So hopefully not for his sake, because I tend to pet people's faces and have no personal space boundaries and that kind of stuff. So I'm like, maybe for his sake, stay over in New York or this way. And then, While I'm cutting weight, I love watching. I watch Les Mis while I'm cutting weight. Always, I'm like, they're miserable, so am I. I'm gonna sing here and sing my show tunes. Like, they're like, see, really, Deanna? And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna sit in this tub and I'm gonna sing "I Dreamed a Dream" just like Fantina's singing it over there in that movie there. But I'm also, like I said, giant nerd over here. And then I like to keep my mind activated, and I always have to, the night of after weigh-ins, once we do the ceremonial ones, and afterwards I like to take my coaches, my corners out for like a nice meal all together. Usually treat them to somewhere decent, just because they spend so much time with me, and it's kind of like, all right, this is the last meal before the war and the thing. And fight day, I just try and not freak out, have my little shakeout in the morning, try and get like mentally activated into it. And then a million times I tell, like, Coach, am I ready for this? Coach, am I ready for this? And he's like, yes, you're ready for this. So I'm like, all right. And then 5 minutes later, hey, Coach, am I ready for this? And he's like, about
it's
this.
like, Mom.
Like, it's my process.
Mama.
Like,
Mama.
that's what I do. Oh, 100%. Mom, mama, mother. Instead it's coach. And he's like, what do you want from me? Hi.
I know, right?
And then I run away.
And there's like, are we there yet?
So you're the There was a time he's like, why are you so weird? Why is you so awkward? And it was just funny, like him and my manager are pretty good friends, and they apparently asked him, like, is she as weird as she comes out to be? Like, she is, like, strange? And he's like, no, she's 10 times worse. She's the weirdest person I've ever met. And I'm like, Coach, just because every once in a while I tell you about my poos doesn't mean that I'm a weird person. Sometimes I just give my friends extra information. And he's like, why? Why are you telling me this? And I'm like, see, this is how I knew on the show Barb Honchak was one of my people. Because me and her used to have lots of, I think I told you this, like, when I had on Ultimate Fighter, I went and used the restroom, and I had a poo that looked exactly like the dark mark from Harry Potter. I was like, ooh, Barb! Where's Barb? And I was like, oh, so I had to flush it. Like, when I finally found her, I'm like, Barb, how did that look just like dark mark? And she's like, oh, it's still there. And I was like, no, it's not. And I couldn't even have my phone to take a picture of it. And she's like, man, like, and that was the day that I found out that my colon was a Death Eater. I don't know why I talk about poo sometimes.
Well, in other cultures they do a lot, and the way you eliminate is about your digestive system, and if it's healthy or not, and if they kind of should be concerned about that, because as you age, if it doesn't come out well and easy, and you're backed up and other sorts of problems, it causes lots of
that could be bad
going on with the body. So
I know
it's kind of like, I mean, not to, like,
yeah, when I worked
people don't want to talk about our sex, finances, and maybe poo. Maybe we should be talking about them all. I don't know.
I mean, I'll talk about any and everything, so maybe, I don't know. But speaking of being backed up, when I worked in the ER, I was an ER tech working as the EMT there, and I will never be able to look at molasses the same way, because we had someone who was impacted, and they filled up a 50cc syringe, half milk and half molasses, and I was like, that looks tasty, milk and molasses. And they're like, probably not. And then they proceeded to shoot it up the old person's back end, and like, all right, hold it as long as you can. Deanna, your job, sit here and make sure they make it to the bathroom. And let me tell you,
instant enema.
They usually never made it. And I was like, what's the thing? Why is this happening? Yeah, about that. Christmas cookie making, people bring out the molasses, and I was like, no, not again. But it's all good.
That's one thing with working in that profession. You see a lot. Like a lot of
more than I could begin to explain right now.
Yeah, and you must have, I mean, you have a really good idea of what happens with the human body as it, you know, I mean, like when people are, you know, ill, or if they're on their way out, you know, dying and stuff, or in an accident, or all that sort of stuff. So I mean, when you were working in that, I mean, now you're a fighter. So how do you, I mean, mentally and stuff, it's like, what's there must be some form of, that you have an appreciation for life in a different way, and you see things in a different way than, say, the normal person. I'm not one that's going to be like going down the road and like, oh, I'll call 911, but I'm not going to be assisting and helping, like, you know.
Oh yeah, no, it's it gives you a really good appreciation, and it's also it gives me a little bit of worry, because I'm like, anything can happen, freak accidents, craziest things that you could never imagine, like somebody got hurt doing. I'm like, how is this even possible? But yeah, it's like the craziest things that can happen will happen, and you know, people are always like, oh, DeAnna, why are you going so slow? Like mountain biking, you're like, oh, you're going so slow. Oh, phone might die. I'm at 4%, and it just told me it's not going to charge anymore. I know. We might end up ending shortly.
Okay. All right. Well, if she blinks out, so, we know why, because battery's going, you know, technical difficulties, battery's not charging. So, I mean, I guess it puts you in a
not too hot.
It puts you in a place of being in the moment.
Oh yeah, definitely. It gives you a good appreciation. And you know, it was one of the things, you know, worst moment of my life was when my dad passed away. But it actually gave me clarity on life and kind of what I'm doing with myself. And you know, that was the moment where I decided that, you know, I'm going to do the things that I want to, and I'm going to do the things that bring me joy, because you never know how much time you have left, honestly. You know, things can end so quickly. My dad got sick and he was gone 3 months later. He was in perfect health and he was always the handyman doing everything himself, and then he was gone. And, you know, that's what brought me to the spot where I was working like my 60 hours a week at my job, and I was like, you know what? No, it's not worth it. I focused on fighting, and everything, you know, went up from there. Ended up an Ultimate Fighter shortly afterwards, and that kind of stuff. And so it was, you know, those death and those type of moments, seeing what people going through with the grief and everything, it puts a life in perspective, and I'm glad of where I'm at now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you see life as being finite, so it's like you want to make the most of it.
Oh yeah, completely.
Yeah. So, seeing as how your battery's going to go, and you must, I mean, you probably haven't even eaten yet, have you, today?
No, I'm quite hungry. I'm not going to lie. I want food real bad.
All right. So, do you have, you know, can you remind fans where they can find you on social media, and then a little shout out maybe to your opponent, Karina Rodriguez?
Of course. I made it easy on Twitter, Instagram, I believe Facebook as well. It's DeAnna D. Bennett, D for my middle initial, or for vitamin D if you want to go with my fight name. DeAnna D. Bennett. And I post random stuff and try and interact as much as possible. And hopefully y'all are okay with my sort of awkwardness, because that's what I do. That's what you know, with Karina, I'm excited to go inside and get in the cage. You know, Karina, you're a tough opponent, and you know, the first fight was a little bit of a war, and second fight, I know she's coming hungry, going to be a good one. I can't wait to see her in there.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this. I think it's going to be a major battle. How do you feel like you pair up? Because she's more striking and stuff. How do you feel like you're going to, if you...
I think, I feel like they just see me as a wrestler, but I've been working on my hands and I've been working on being a full-fledged, martial artist. And so, her boxing is her forte, definitely. And I just have to be prepared for that and then be able to, monopolize my strengths, honestly.
Cool. So remember, for the listeners, remember to check out UFC Fight Pass on June 7th, Invicta FC 35, where DeAnna Bennett will be facing Karina Rodriguez in the main event for a chance to fight champ, what's her name? Vanessa Porto. So that's going to be
Love it.
Can't wait to see this. So I want to thank you again for coming.
It's going to be a good one, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's great talking to you. Sorry my phone decided it wanted to not live anymore.
That's okay.
Struggling just a little bit.
Go and feed your body, and and good luck with the remainder of your fight camp. And I'll look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
Perform in 2 weeks.
I look forward to getting in there. So thank you again.
Thank you.
I'll see you next time.
All right. Take care, DeAnna. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks. Bye.
I'd like to thank DeAnna Bennett for being on the show. And if you'd like to learn more about her, check out our previous interview. It was episode 54, DeAnna Bennett, Invicta FC Flyweight semifinal contender, where she shares her feelings on loneliness and forgoing personal relationships to follow her dreams. She will be fighting once again June 7th at Invicta FC 35 against Karina Rodriguez for a title shot against Brazilian champion Vanessa Porto. If you like what you heard today and are eager to hear more, never miss an episode from Evolve WMMA with me, Shelley Devine, by remembering to subscribe or download on iTunes. You can listen while doing other things, so you can find us at Podomatic, Shout Engine, and Spotify at Evolve Women's MMA. Or if you prefer to watch, you can find a new episode on YouTube at Women's MMA. So thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed the show, please leave a review because it helps people find the show. And on that review, mention DeAnna Bennett and how she inspired and motivated you. You can follow us also at facebook.com/I love WMMA. This is Shelley Devine. Until next time, thanks for listening.